Starting.
So the first part was please discuss with your group members your thoughts on organizational culture, what types of culture you have experienced in the workplace, positive, negative, engaging, entertaining, etc. So do you guys have any specific like workplace experiences with this sort of?
Yeah, I'll go. My current job, I work at a web hosting company, and it's a call center type of environment, so it can get a little mundane, especially when you're taking like call after call. But like they try to make it as comfortable as possible, like with other activities, like we have a pool table, like all this. We have video games and like ping pong table on the break room. So that type of just like it's more of a laid back work culture, and I
Environment.
appreciate that since the job it can get a little not stressful, but just like mentally wearing, you know. So
Right.
I consider that a positive work culture, and like I wanted to talk about the video too because watching that video about Zappos, I'm like, I want to work there. Like, it just seems
Definitely.
very laid back and positive. And again, if you work in a positive work culture, you'd be happier and be more productive in the long run.
Yeah, I agree.
I do too. I worked for a year last year at Disney, so that was like a super specific and unique work culture as far as working there. I know in the text they talked a lot about how the language of your environment helps support it and create it, and I know there's like so many terms that we use, like guests and on stage and backstage and your role and your costume and cast members. It's all very like show oriented. And then there's also like location specific language. Um, we have like codes for things I worked on Main Street, and so we never said like, oh, I'm gonna go use the bathroom. You'd say I have to go iron my shoelaces, and then
Why?
every location has like their own little
Codes.
codes like that, yeah, and lots of terms and things that will say that if I were to say them outside of that environment, people would have no idea what I'm talking about. But no matter who I say them to, they'll make sense.
Yeah.
Um, so it was very environment influenced kind
Yeah.
of
I've
what we.
like heard that everyone like who works at Disney eventually like anytime they want to point at something, they have to point with two
Oh, I
fingers.
totally do that. I
But even
still do it.
outside of
Like
work, they like start pointing at things like
mm-hmm.
with two fingers every time.
Thumb has to be tucked in though. I still do it.
Yeah, I've heard that before. That's so weird.
Mm-hmm.
That's funny. Um, I talk all about the job I'm in right now, but I'll talk about my job before that. I worked at this place called Thrive, and
I
it
love
was.
that one.
Have you been to Thrive?
Yeah.
Okay. My husband's family owns it, so like
Oh,
they
cool.
own it through him. So they started it, and when I started working there, it was my senior year, and it just started up. Like it'd only been open a little bit, so it's still like in the works of like becoming a place. And it still is actually. They're improving every day. But um, a cool thing I felt was like they let us like try to make our title seem cooler than it was, because like you would like make smoothie bowls and then you would like cash and like serve them out. You like kind of did everything. There wasn't like a certain position. And we would all call ourselves like bowlistas or like expert master acai bowls or like, and everyone would have that even like on their Facebook, like, where do you work? I work at this and I'm a master bowlista. Like, it was super dumb. Like, we just make smoothies, but like we just really like were proud of where we worked, and like I love the culture in that like it was really like quality food, and I everything that was going with that bowl there was like no fake sugars, no ice, like it was all just real fruits, and like um and so it was awesome to be able to tell customers about it and like feeling empowered and like this is real and this is a good quality product. um and I bet a lot of other people can't say that about places they work, like that they're actually proud of it, and that they like, feel empowered in their position. So I feel like I had a really positive work environment there.
Awesome. For me, an example of like a really positive and kind of like a welcoming environment or like culture was when I worked at the Sun Devil Fitness Complex my sophomore year of college. Um, it was just like I hated the work that I was doing there, like my job position. Like I hated it. It just wasn't fun to me. I didn't like I was like I worked as like a sport club supervisor. So for all of the sport clubs, not teams, but like clubs on ASU's campus, I would have to like go there and like make sure that like the fields were okay to play on, supply them with like a bunch of water, ice, like first aid. So like if anyone got hurt, I would have to be the one to like call an ambulance, take care of them. Like I had to be like first aid CPR certified. So if anything went wrong, I had to take care of it. And like that's kind of like a really stressful like job for me just because it kind of caused me high anxiety. But like I stuck, it was just like a lot of pressure. But my first, I ended up sticking with the job for like a year and a half just because I loved working with the people that I worked with. I made really good friends there. My boss was just like super positive, like never made me feel stupid or like if I did something wrong on the scene would just like kind of guide me in the right direction for how to do it correctly in the future rather than like yell at me and like just like kind of shut me down or make me feel stupid. He would just kind of like guide me and like I stuck with the job for a year and a half because of the work environment, not because of the work, if that makes sense. So it really impacted my time there.
Yeah, I've definitely had jobs where like I hated doing the work. Like my first job ever, I worked at a movie theater and like I hated it. The pay was shitty. Just
Yeah.
overall job sucks. But like all the people I worked with, I'm still friends with it like today. Like that was the most friends I've made from one job. So
yeah,
I get what you're saying though.
Yeah, definitely. But the next half of the prompt is if you believe that leaders are able to shape culture.
Most definitely. I mean, depending on the company, like a corporate company can like implement its own like code of conduct and their expectations, but a leader can bring their own like style to it and try to make it as fun as possible, or they can be really shitty about it. So yeah, I could definitely think like especially if you work in like team environment, definitely I think they can shape the culture because they can put their own little twist into it and try to make the job as enjoyable as possible.
Yeah, I agree. I think like a huge part of like chapter 9 was like persuasive speaking. And I think even just like the way a boss or like a manager talks to like their kind of like subordinates, I guess you could call them, like they could either talk to them and make them feel positive and excited about their work, regardless of like if they enjoy it or if they don't. Like they could make them excited, like how my boss made me feel when I worked at the fitness complex. Like he made me feel okay about the work because he got me excited about it when he would talk to me, or like make me not feel stupid, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I think like even with like persuasive speaking, like they can make a huge impact on like their like coworkers even when just talking to them about like how to go about doing a job.
Yeah. Yeah, I think leaders can definitely have an effect on the culture if they're like a good leader. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Like the text talks about like trust and competency.
You have to have credibility in order for people to follow what you think.
Right. And like I think even if like someone came in and like they hadn't broken anyone's trust, like they're not gonna be able to shape the culture until they form those relationships and like actually show that they like can do a good job, and then the culture I think will start to take shape. But until then, I think like if the followers aren't like on board, culture can't happen like on its own.
I agree.
Yeah. And on the flip side, I think if you have an incompetent or a really bad leader in there, it can totally break down even a good work culture.
Yeah,
but I think also you can kind of only shape it to a certain extent. I think you can make a really big difference, but only to an extent. Like the physical environment and the actual work that you're doing has
to be something that you enjoy in order for you to feel passionate about it.
Yeah.
Because the company, they're going to have their own policies that need to be enforced, and just leader can again put their own little twist into it and make sure that whatever needs to be accomplished gets accomplished. So.
And I guess it's like about the quality of the product. Like if we look at Zappos, like yeah, it's just a shoe company, but they are like affordable and they're good quality shoes that people can get, you know, and like fast, and it's like an awesome thing, but then you think of like companies that sell really poor qualities, like no matter how much the company tries to make this awesome culture, if you know that you're selling like a lie, like that culture can't be that awesome.
Mm-hmm. It'll end up feeling really false. Yeah.
I agree.
Cool. Well, I'm gonna stop it.